Welcome to Unbreakable Mentality. We don't just chase success, we build the mindset that creates success. What if I told you that the next millionaire is probably being laughed at today? What if the person everyone calls a failure is only one decision away from changing their entire life? Let me tell you the story of a poor boy who refused to quit. Because sometimes success isn't about who starts first. It's about who refuses to stop. In this beautiful story, the poor boy's name was Daniel. At 17 years old, Daniel had nothing except a dream. His father had died when he was only 10. His mother sold roasted corn beside a busy roadside just to feed the family. Every morning before school, Daniel helped her arrange the charcoal stove. Every evening after school, he returned to help her sell until late at night. Many of his classmates laughed whenever they passed by. "Look at the corn seller's son. You'll never become anything." Those words hurt. But Daniel never answered. He simply smiled and kept working. One afternoon, his teacher noticed something unusual. Every student had gone home, but Daniel remained in the classroom. He wasn't playing. He wasn't sleeping. He was reading an old business book someone had thrown away. The teacher asked, "Daniel, why are you always reading books that nobody wants?" Daniel smiled. "Sir, because one day I want to build something that everybody will want." The teacher looked at him. "You don't even have money for lunch." Daniel nodded. "I know. That's why I have to feed my mind before I can feed my pocket." Years passed. Life became even harder. His mother became seriously ill. Daniel dropped out of school. People thought he was over. He worked as a cleaner. He washed cars. He carried bags in the market. He mixed cement on construction sites. Everywhere he went, people reminded him, "Education is over. Your dream is dead. You'll remain poor forever." But every night, when everyone else slept, Daniel spent 2 hours reading, 2 hours learning, 2 hours preparing for a future nobody else could see. He had made one promise to himself: "I may lose opportunities, I may lose money, but I will never lose hope." Let's pause the story for a moment, because this is where most people get it wrong. People think success begins with money. It doesn't. Success begins with identity. Daniel didn't behave like a poor boy. He behaved like the successful man he intended to become. Your circumstances do not define your future. Your mindset does. Most people quit because they confuse delay with defeat. They think, "It's taking too long. Nothing is happening. I'm not seeing results." But look at nature. A bamboo tree spends years growing roots underground before anyone sees it rise. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, everything is happening. Your preparation is never wasted. Every book you read, every skill you learn, every mistake you survive, every difficult season you endure is building the person your future requires. The world celebrates visible success, but invisible discipline creates visible success. That is why so many people fail. They want the harvest without surviving the planting season. Daniel understood something powerful. He didn't need immediate applause. He needed long-term growth. And that's exactly what separated him from everyone else. If you feel like giving up today, I want you to do these 4 things. Number 1, stop comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. Everyone has a different journey. Run your own race. Number 2, feed your mind every single day. Read, learn, listen. Your income rarely grows beyond your mindset. Number 3, stop waiting for perfect conditions. The perfect time doesn't exist. Start with what you have. Start where you are. Number 4, refuse to quit. You may need to change your strategy, but never abandon your purpose. Remember, temporary failure is not permanent defeat. The only people who are guaranteed to fail are the people who stop trying. Daniel's story doesn't end here, because the same poor boy everyone laughed at would one day build a business that employed hundreds of people. But that is a story for another day. Today, I want to leave you with this question. What dream have you almost abandoned because life became difficult? Don't bury it. Go back to it. Work on it. Protect it. Fight for it. Because your greatest breakthrough may be hiding behind one more attempt. If this story encouraged you, write, "I will not quit" in the comments. Subscribe to Unbreakable Mentality, where we don't just chase success, we build the mindset that creates success. I'm Lady Siska Dominic. Until next time, stay focused, stay disciplined, and remain unbreakable. Welcome to Unbreakable Mentality. We don't just chase success, we build the mindset that creates success. Have you ever wondered why some people keep moving forward even when life keeps knocking them down? What if I told you that the greatest turning point in Daniel's life came on the day he lost almost everything? Sometimes, before God opens a new door, life closes every old one. Let's continue Daniel's story. Months passed. Daniel continued working as a laborer during the day and studying at night. His mother slowly recovered, but the family remained trapped in poverty. One rainy afternoon, while carrying cement at a construction site, Daniel accidentally slipped. Several bags of cement fell to the ground. The site supervisor exploded with anger. "You are useless. You're fired." Daniel pleaded for another chance, but the supervisor pointed toward the gate. "Leave now." As Daniel walked home under the heavy rain, he had only one thought. "What am I going to tell my mother?" That night, there was no food. His mother quietly divided the last loaf of bread into 2 small pieces. She handed the larger piece to Daniel. He pushed it back. "No, Mama, you eat." She smiled. A mother never goes hungry when her child still has hope. Daniel couldn't hold back his tears. That night, while everyone slept, he knelt beside his bed. "Lord, I don't understand what you're doing, but I refuse to quit." The next morning, instead of looking for another labor job immediately, Daniel walked into the public library. He spent the entire day reading books on business, leadership, communication, and money. The librarian noticed him returning every day. "You've been here every morning for 3 weeks." Daniel smiled. "I may not have money to invest, but I can invest in myself." The librarian reached under the desk. "I've been watching your determination." She handed him an old laptop donated by a retired professor. "It isn't new, but I believe you'll do something meaningful with it." Daniel stared at the laptop in disbelief. For the first time in months, he felt that maybe, just maybe, his life was about to change. Let's stop the story here, because this moment teaches one of the greatest principles of success. Most people see problems. Successful people search for possibilities. Daniel lost his job. Many people would have called it the end. Daniel called it a turning point. Sometimes life removes you from places where you've become comfortable, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Think about it. If Daniel had kept that construction job forever, would he have discovered business? Would he have developed new skills? Would he have become the man he was created to be? Probably not. Many of the opportunities we pray for arrive disguised as disappointments. Every setback asks one question: will you become bitter, or will you become better? Your answer determines your future. Remember this: circumstances may delay your progress, but only your mindset can stop it. If life has closed the door in your face recently, here's what I want you to do. Number 1, stop asking, why did this happen? Start asking, what can this teach me? Number 2, invest in yourself every day. Read, learn, develop new skills. Nobody can steal knowledge from you. Number 3, don't waste difficult seasons. Many of your greatest ideas will be born during your hardest moments. Number 4, stay ready for unexpected opportunities. The librarian didn't give Daniel that laptop by accident. She saw consistency. People notice commitment long before they reward it. Daniel had no idea that the old laptop sitting on his table would eventually become the tool that transformed his future. One decision, one unexpected gift, one opportunity. That's all it takes to change a life. But the opportunity only came because Daniel refused to stop preparing. So let me ask you this. If opportunity knocked on your door today, would you be ready? Preparation creates confidence. Confidence creates action. Action creates results. If this message encouraged you, don't forget to subscribe to Unbreakable Mentality, where we don't just chase success, we build the mindset that creates success. I'm Lady Siska Dominic. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and whatever happens, never quit. Welcome to Unbreakable Mentality. We don't just chase success, we build the mindset that creates success. Imagine receiving the opportunity you've been praying for and then losing it before you make your first dollar. That was exactly what happened to Daniel. He finally had a laptop. He finally had a chance. But what happened next almost made him give up again. And this time, the decision he made would change his life forever. Daniel took the old laptop home and placed it carefully on the small wooden table beside his bed. His mother looked at it and smiled. So, what will you do with it? Daniel looked at the screen. I don't know yet, Mama, but I know I didn't receive it just to watch movies. He began teaching himself graphic design, writing, digital marketing, and basic business skills. He struggled. Some nights, the laptop would freeze. Other nights, there was no electricity. Daniel would walk to a small business center just to charge the battery. But he kept learning. One afternoon, a small shop owner named Mr. Okoro walked into the business center. He needed a simple flyer for his new clothing business. Daniel heard him talking to the attendant. I need someone who can design this for me. Daniel gathered courage. Sir, I can do it. The man looked at him. You? Daniel nodded. Yes, sir. How much? Daniel hesitated. He had never been paid for his work before. Whatever you think is fair. The man laughed. Okay, I'll give you 2 days. Daniel worked through the night. He designed the flyer, corrected it repeatedly, and finally delivered it. Mr. Okoro stared at the design. This is good. Then he handed Daniel some money. Daniel looked at it. It wasn't much, but it was the first money he had ever earned from a skill he taught himself. He ran home. Mama! His mother came outside. Daniel held up the money. I made this. She looked at the money. Then she looked at her son and began to cry. Not because the money was much, but because she knew what it represented. Hope. Daniel had discovered something powerful. He didn't need to wait for someone to rescue him. He could create value. And value could create income. But just when things started improving, Daniel received a phone call. It was Mr. Okoro. Daniel, I need to talk to you. Daniel smiled. Yes, sir. I showed your work to someone. Daniel's heart jumped. Really? Yes. And he wants you to design something much bigger. Daniel couldn't believe it. Sir, when do we start? There was a long silence. Tomorrow, Daniel smiled. But then Mr. Okoro added something that Daniel wasn't expecting. The project is worth more money than you've ever made in your life. Daniel sat down. For the first time, he could see a way out. Let's pause here because Daniel just discovered one of the most important principles of success. You don't always need more resources. Sometimes, you need to learn how to use the resources you already have. Daniel didn't have a modern office. He didn't have investors. He didn't have wealthy parents. He didn't have connections. He had an old laptop and he had determination. That's where many people make a mistake. They keep saying, when I have money, I'll start. When I get the right opportunity, I'll begin. When someone helps me, I'll move forward. But successful people often begin with what is already in their hands. Your phone could become a business tool. Your knowledge could become a service. Your experience could become a product. Your story could become an inspiration to someone else. The question isn't always, Mr. Okoro had a problem. What do I have? Sometimes the better question is, what can I create with what I have? Daniel also learned another lesson. He stopped looking for jobs and started looking for problems he could solve. He needed a professional flyer. Daniel had a skill. He solved the problem and money followed the value he created. That's an important business principle. People don't pay you simply because you need money. They pay you because you provide value. Learn. If you want your income to grow, increase the value you can provide. But now, improve. Practice. Solve bigger problems. Become better. And don't be ashamed to start small. Daniel's first payment was small, but his first payment wasn't the goal. It was proof. Proof that his skills could create value. Proof that his circumstances were not permanent. Proof that he could build something from nothing. If you're currently struggling financially or trying to build something from nothing, start with these 4 steps. 1. Identify what you already have. Don't focus only on what you lack. Ask yourself, what skill, knowledge, experience, connection, or resource do I already have? Start there. 2. Learn one valuable skill. Don't try to learn everything. Choose one skill that can solve a real problem. Then become exceptionally good at it. 3. Solve problems. Look around you. What are people struggling with? What do businesses need? What can you make easier? That is where opportunities hide. 4. Start before you feel ready. Daniel wasn't an expert. He simply knew enough to solve one small problem. Your first attempt may not be perfect. Do it anyway. Your first customer may not pay much. Serve them anyway. Your beginning may look small. Keep going anyway. Because every great business, every great career, and every great success story begins somewhere. Daniel had started with almost nothing. Someone was offering him the biggest project he had ever seen. The money could change his family's life. The opportunity could finally take him out of poverty. But there was one problem. Keep building. Daniel had never handled a project that big before. And when he opened the project details, his hands began to shake. The project was far beyond anything he had ever done. He had 2 choices: walk away or take the biggest risk of his life. Daniel stared at the screen. Then he whispered, "I've come too far to quit now." And that decision would lead to the biggest test of his life. To be continued in episode 4. Now I want to ask you, what is one skill you can start developing today that could change your future? Write it in the comments. And if you're building your life from the ground up, remember this: you don't need to have everything. You just need to start with something. Subscribe to Unbreakable Mentality, where we don't just chase success, we build the mindset that creates success. I'm Lady Siska Dominic. Keep learning, keep believing, and whatever happens, never quit.
Daniel stared at the project on his old laptop. The amount of money involved was more than he had ever imagined. But there was one problem. He had never done anything like this before. His hands began to shake. Then his phone rang. It was Mr. Okoro. "Daniel, they want your answer tonight." Daniel looked at the laptop. If he accepted, he could change his life. If he failed, he could lose the trust of the only person who had given him a chance. Daniel took a deep breath. Then he said 4 words that would change everything. I will take the job. The following morning, Daniel woke up before sunrise. His mother was already awake, preparing breakfast. She looked at him. You didn't sleep? Daniel smiled. I have work to do, Mama. She noticed the worry on his face. What happened? Daniel sat beside her. Mama, someone has given me a big opportunity. Her face lit up. That's wonderful. Daniel looked down. But I'm afraid. His mother became quiet. Afraid of what? What if I fail? His mother smiled. Daniel, do you remember when you had nothing? He nodded. You were afraid then too. Daniel looked at her. And you still started. She touched his shoulder. Don't let fear make a decision that your courage should make. Those words stayed with him. Daniel went to the small business center. He opened the project. It was a complete branding package for a growing company. Logo, marketing materials, social media designs, business presentation, everything had to look professional. Daniel stared at the list. It was overwhelming. For a moment, he almost closed the laptop. Then he remembered the day he was sitting outside the garage with nothing. He remembered being laughed at. He remembered losing his job. He remembered the old laptop. And he remembered his promise, I will not quit. Daniel opened his notebook. He wrote, learn, practice, ask questions, deliver. Then he began. Daniel spent days studying. Whenever he didn't understand something, he searched for answers. When a design failed, he started again. When he made a mistake, he corrected it. He didn't pretend to know everything. Instead, he became obsessed with learning. But 3 days before the deadline, disaster struck. Daniel opened the laptop. The screen froze. He waited. Nothing happened. He restarted it. The laptop switched off. Daniel's heart stopped. No. He pressed the power button again. Nothing. He tried again. Still nothing. Daniel looked at the screen in disbelief. The entire project was stored on that laptop. His work, his designs, his future, everything. He rushed to the repair shop. The technician examined the laptop, then shook his head. The hard drive is damaged. Daniel swallowed. Can you fix it? I can try. How long? The technician looked at him. Maybe 2 days. Daniel's eyes widened. I don't have 2 days. Then I don't know what to tell you. Daniel stepped outside. For the first time in a long time, he wanted to cry. He looked toward the sky. Why now? He had finally found an opportunity. And just when he needed it most, everything was falling apart. Then his phone rang. It was Mr. Okoro. Daniel, how is the project going? Daniel couldn't speak. Daniel? He finally answered. Sir, what happened? My laptop has crashed. Silence. Then Mr. Okoro said something Daniel wasn't expecting. Come to my office. Daniel arrived at Mr. Okoro's office. He expected anger. Instead, Mr. Okoro looked at him calmly. Did you lose your work? Daniel nodded. Yes, sir. All of it? Yes. Mr. Okoro leaned back. Then what are you going to do? Daniel looked confused. I don't know. Mr. Okoro stood up. That's the difference between someone who wants success and someone who is prepared for success. Daniel listened carefully. Problems don't disappear because you have a dream. They appear because you're building something. Mr. Okoro walked toward a cabinet and pulled out an old laptop. He placed it on the table. Use this. Daniel stared at it. Sir, your deadline hasn't changed? Daniel took the laptop. Thank you. Mr. Okoro looked at him. Don't thank me yet. Daniel paused. Why? Because I'm not giving you another opportunity after this. Daniel's heart sank. Mr. Okoro continued. I'm giving you a responsibility. Daniel nodded. I understand. Good, then finish it. Daniel walked out. But something had changed. He wasn't working anymore because he wanted money. He was working because someone had trusted him. This is where Daniel learned a powerful lesson. Opportunity is not enough. You must become the person capable of handling the opportunity. Many people pray for bigger opportunities, but they don't prepare for bigger responsibilities. They want the promotion without developing the skills. They want the business without learning how business works. They want success without developing the discipline required to sustain it. Daniel didn't become successful because someone gave him a laptop. The laptop only gave him access to an opportunity. His preparation made the opportunity valuable. And here's another lesson. When Daniel's laptop failed, he had two choices. He could say, "This always happens to me," or "What can I do now?" That is the difference between a victim mindset and a solution mindset. A victim asks, "Why is this happening to me?" An unbreakable mind asks, "What can I do about it?" You cannot control every problem that enters your life, but you can control your response. You may lose a job. You may lose money. Someone may reject you. A business may fail. A relationship may end. A plan may collapse. But the question is never simply, "What did I lose?" Ask, "What can I learn? What can I rebuild? What can I do next?" That is how resilience is built. Not when everything goes well, but when everything goes wrong and you decide to keep moving. If you're facing a difficult season right now, remember these 4 things. 1. Stop asking why me. Instead ask, what is this situation teaching me? That question moves your mind from helplessness to possibility. 2. Prepare before opportunity arrives. Don't wait until someone gives you a chance. Start learning now. Build your skills now. Practice now. Because when opportunity arrives, preparation determines whether you can handle it. 3. Have a plan B. Daniel's laptop failed, but his knowledge didn't disappear. Always develop yourself beyond your current tools. Technology can fail. Money can disappear. People can leave, but your knowledge stays with you. 4th, never let one setback become your identity. Something may have gone wrong. That doesn't mean you are a failure. You experienced failure. There is a difference. Failure is an event. It is not your identity. Daniel had only 3 days left. He had lost his laptop. He had lost days of work. But he had not lost his determination. For the next 72 hours, Daniel barely slept. He worked, he learned, he corrected, he started again. And finally, at exactly 11:47 p.m. on the final day, Daniel clicked send. The project was delivered. He leaned back in the chair, exhausted. His mother walked into the room. "Did you finish?" Daniel smiled. "Yes, Mama." She hugged him. But Daniel didn't know what was waiting for him the next morning, because at 8 a.m., his phone rang. It was the company. Daniel answered. A man's voice said, "Daniel, we need to see you immediately." Daniel's smile disappeared. "Did I do something wrong?" The man paused, then said, "Quite the opposite." Daniel stood up. "You need to see what happened because of your work." Daniel had no idea that the project he nearly abandoned was about to open a door far bigger than anything he had imagined. To be continued in episode 5. If you're going through a difficult season right now, remember Daniel's story. Your setback is not your final chapter. Don't quit because today is difficult. Don't quit because people don't believe in you. Don't quit because the first attempt failed. Keep learning, keep building, keep moving. If you believe your story is not over, comment, "I will not quit." And subscribe to Unbreakable Mentality, where we don't just chase success, we build the mindset that creates success. I'm Lady Siska Dominic. Until next time, keep your mind unbreakable. "Daniel, you need to come to the office immediately." Daniel froze. "Did I do something wrong?" The man on the phone paused. "No." Daniel swallowed. "Then what happened?" The voice replied, "Your project has attracted the attention of the company's biggest client." Daniel's heart began racing. He had spent years being ignored. Now, for the first time, powerful people were noticing him. But there was one problem. They wanted him to present his work in front of the entire executive board. And Daniel had never stood in front of a room like that in his life. The next morning, Daniel arrived at Mr. Okoro's office wearing his best shirt. He looked nervous. Mr. Okoro noticed immediately. "You're nervous." Daniel smiled weakly. "Very nervous, sir." Mr. Okoro sat down. "Why?" Daniel looked at him. "Because these are serious people. They have money, education, experience. And you don't?" Daniel became silent. Mr. Okoro leaned forward. "Daniel, do you know why they want you in that room?" Daniel shook his head. because you solved a problem they couldn't solve. Daniel looked surprised. Mr. Okoro continued, never confuse your background with your ability. Those words hit Daniel deeply. For years, he had looked at successful people and assumed they were better than him. Today, he realized something different. They simply had opportunities he had never been given. Mr. Okoro handed him a folder. Your presentation is at 10 a.m. Daniel opened it. There were names of executives, investors, and business owners. His hands began shaking again. What if I embarrass myself? Mr. Okoro smiled, then learn from it. And if they reject me, then go home and improve. Daniel looked at him. And if they accept me? Mr. Okoro smiled. Then prepare for a bigger problem. Daniel laughed. What problem? Mr. Okoro looked directly at him. Success brings bigger responsibilities. At exactly 10 a.m., Daniel entered the conference room. There were 8 executives sitting around a long glass table. Everyone looked serious. One man glanced at Daniel's clothes. Another looked at his old laptop. Someone whispered. Daniel heard it. Is this the young man who designed the project? Daniel felt embarrassed. He wanted to disappear. Then he remembered his mother's words. Don't let fear make a decision that your courage should make. Daniel walked to the front. He connected his laptop. The screen came alive. He took a deep breath. Good morning, everyone. His voice was quiet. Nobody responded. Daniel swallowed. Then he looked at the presentation and began. 5 minutes passed, then 10. Something changed. The executives stopped looking at their phones. They started listening. Daniel explained the problem. Then he explained his solution. He showed them the designs. He explained why he made each decision. He spoke with confidence. The same boy who once struggled to find a job was now standing in front of people who controlled millions. And he wasn't begging, he was presenting value. When he finished, the room became silent. Daniel looked around. Then one of the executives slowly stood up. Daniel, yes sir? Where did you learn all this? Daniel smiled. I taught myself. The man stared at him. How long? Daniel thought for a moment. Every day for months. The executive nodded. Then he said something Daniel would never forget. You have talent. Daniel smiled, but the next words shocked him. We want you to work with us. Daniel couldn't believe what he had heard. Work with you? Yes. The executive placed a document on the table. We have a major project coming up. Daniel looked at the document. The amount involved was enormous. It was more money than Daniel had ever held in his hands. His mind began racing. This was everything he had dreamed about. But then the executive continued. There is one condition. Daniel looked up. You'll have to lead the creative team. Daniel froze. Me? Yes? Daniel looked at Mr. Okoro. Mr. Okoro simply nodded. Daniel took a deep breath. He remembered when he had nothing. He remembered sleeping without knowing where his next opportunity would come from. He remembered the old laptop, the library, the failed project, the broken laptop, and the nights he wanted to quit. Now he was being asked to lead people. Daniel looked at the document. Then he said, I'll do it. But as he walked out of the office that afternoon, something unexpected happened. 3 young professionals approached him. One of them smiled. Congratulations. Daniel thanked him. Then another person said, We heard you're going to lead our team. Daniel nodded. The man looked at him and smiled. Just don't think you're better than us. Daniel was confused. I never said that. The man walked away. Daniel stood there wondering. He had finally reached the door he had been praying for. But he was about to discover that getting success is one thing. Keeping the right mindset after success is another. Daniel's story teaches us something many people don't understand. Success doesn't only test you when you are struggling. Success tests you when things finally start going well. When you're poor, you may pray for money. When you're unknown, you may pray for recognition. When you're unemployed, you may pray for a job. But when the opportunity finally arrives, you need a completely different level of discipline, because opportunity creates responsibility. Daniel had spent months preparing himself to receive an opportunity. Now he had to prepare himself to handle success. And there is another powerful lesson. Never allow your past to become your identity. Daniel was poor, but Daniel wasn't poverty. Daniel had no connections, but he wasn't powerless. Daniel lacked formal opportunities, but he wasn't incapable. Sometimes the biggest prison isn't your circumstances. It's the identity you have created because of your circumstances. You start saying, I'm not educated enough. I'm not connected enough. I'm not talented enough. I don't come from the right family. I don't have money. But your starting point does not determine your finishing point. Your willingness to learn can change your trajectory. Daniel didn't wait until he had everything. He started with what he had. And that is what made the difference. If you want to change your life, start with these 4 principles. 1. Build before you are noticed. Don't wait for applause. Develop your skills when nobody is watching. 2. Stop comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. Someone may have started with money. Someone may have had connections. Someone may have had better opportunities. That's their story. Your responsibility is to build yours. 3. Learn something valuable. Every day, one skill can change your income. One skill can open a door. One skill can change your confidence. Don't underestimate what consistent learning can do. 4. Prepare for the opportunity you are praying for. Don't just pray for the door to open. Prepare yourself to walk through it, because when the opportunity comes, you may not get enough time to prepare. That evening, Daniel returned home. His mother was sitting outside. She looked at him. How did it go? Daniel smiled. Mama, they offered me a job. She stood up. Really? Daniel nodded. She hugged him tightly. But then Daniel noticed something. His mother was crying. Why are you crying? She wiped her eyes. Because I remember when you used to come home hungry. Daniel became silent. And now, she continued, you're coming home with an opportunity. Daniel smiled. But before he could say anything, his phone rang. He looked at the screen. It was the executive who had offered him the job. Daniel answered. Hello, sir. The executive's voice sounded serious. Daniel, there has been a change. Daniel's smile disappeared. What happened, sir? The project we discussed has been moved forward. How soon? A pause. Tomorrow morning. Daniel's eyes widened. Tomorrow? Yes. Then came the final shock. And the client wants you personally to lead the presentation. Daniel looked at his mother. His biggest opportunity had arrived, but he had only one night to prepare. And this time, failure would cost far more than a job. If Daniel's story is teaching you something, comment, I will prepare for my opportunity. Subscribe to Unbreakable Mentality for more powerful life stories, mindset lessons, success principles, and practical wisdom. I am Lady Siska Dominic. We don't just chase success, we build the mindset that creates success.
What would you do if you finally got the opportunity you had prayed for, only to discover that you had less than 24 hours to prove you deserved it? Daniel had spent months preparing for his breakthrough. Now his breakthrough had arrived, but there was a problem. He was terrified. The next morning, Daniel would stand before powerful executives and present a project that could change his entire life. One mistake could destroy everything he had built. One brilliant presentation could open doors he never imagined existed. And Daniel had only one night to prepare. That evening, Daniel opened his laptop and stared at the screen. For the first time in months, he didn't feel motivated. He felt overwhelmed. The presentation had to be perfect. The numbers had to be correct. The design had to be convincing. And most importantly, Daniel had to convince people who already believed they knew better than him. Daniel tried to begin. He couldn't. He typed the first sentence, deleted it, typed again, deleted it. Then he leaned back in his chair and whispered, "What if I'm not good enough?" That single question almost destroyed everything. Then Daniel remembered something. The old library, the broken laptop, the rejection letters, the days he went hungry, the nights he studied when everyone else was sleeping. And suddenly he realized something powerful. He had already survived things much harder than a presentation. Daniel stood up. He closed his laptop. Then he did something unexpected. He walked outside. His mother was sitting quietly. She looked at him and immediately knew something was wrong. "Daniel, what happened?" Daniel sat beside her. "Mama, I'm scared." She looked at him. "Scared of what?" Daniel lowered his head. "What if tomorrow proves that I'm not good enough?" His mother remained silent for a moment. Then she asked, "My son, when you had nothing, who told you that you couldn't learn?" Daniel looked at her. "Nobody." "When you lost your job, who told you that you couldn't start again?" "Nobody." "When your laptop broke, who told you to stop?" Daniel smiled faintly. "Nobody." His mother touched his shoulder. "Then why are you allowing fear to speak now?" Daniel became silent. Then she said, "You did not come this far because you were fearless. You came this far because you refused to obey your fear." Daniel returned to his room. This time, he didn't look at the presentation as a test. He looked at it as an opportunity to show what he had learned. He worked. He studied. He corrected the numbers. He simplified the slides. He practiced his opening. Then he practiced again and again. At 2:17 a.m., Daniel finally stopped. His eyes were red. His body was exhausted, but he smiled. For the first time, he wasn't afraid of tomorrow. He was ready for it. Or so he thought. At 8:30 ante-meridiem, Daniel arrived at the company. He was dressed simply but professionally. His laptop was in his hand. His presentation was ready. Mr. Okoro saw him and smiled. "You look different." Daniel smiled. "I am different." Mr. Okoro nodded. "Good." Then Daniel noticed something. There were more people in the reception area than he expected. Executives, investors, business partners. Daniel's heart started beating faster. "Sir," Mr. Okoro looked at him. "Yes? Who are all these people?" Mr. Okoro smiled. "They are here to hear you." Daniel swallowed hard. The conference room doors opened. Daniel walked in. 8 executives were seated around the table. But this time, there was someone else. A woman sitting at the center of the table. Everyone seemed to respect her. Daniel looked at Mr. Okoro. "Who is she?" Mr. Okoro whispered. "She's the company's biggest investor." Daniel froze. The woman looked at him. "Are you Daniel?" "Yes, ma'am." She looked at his laptop. Then she looked back at him. "I've heard a lot about you." Daniel smiled nervously. "Thank you, ma'am." She leaned forward. "Let's see if the stories are true." Daniel's smile disappeared. Daniel walked to the screen. He connected his laptop. Nothing happened. The screen remained black. Daniel tried again. Nothing. He checked the cable. Still Nothing. Someone at the table sighed. Another executive looked at his watch. Daniel's hands began shaking. The investor looked at him. Is there a problem? Daniel looked at the laptop. His mind went blank. Then he remembered his old laptop. The same thing had happened before, and he had survived it. Daniel disconnected the cable. He closed the laptop. Everyone looked confused. Then Daniel said, "Yes, ma'am, there's a problem." He took a breath. But the solution doesn't require the screen. The room became silent. Daniel walked away from the laptop and began speaking. For the next 5 minutes, Daniel explained the entire project without a single slide. He drew the concepts on the whiteboard. He explained the problem. He explained the solution. He explained the financial benefit. He answered questions. One executive interrupted him. "How do you know this will work?" Daniel looked directly at him. "Because I tested it." Another asked, "Who taught you all this?" Daniel smiled. Failure. The room went silent. Daniel continued. "Every time something failed, I learned something. I lost a job. I learned discipline. I struggled financially. I learned resourcefulness. My laptop broke. I learned to find another way." Daniel looked around the room. "I didn't have the privilege of giving up." Daniel finished. Nobody spoke. 10 seconds passed. Then 15. Daniel began wondering if he had failed. The investor slowly stood up. She looked at the other executives. Then she said, "This is the first presentation I've seen in years where the person understood the problem better than the presentation." Daniel couldn't believe it. She turned toward him. "Daniel, yes, ma'am, I want you to lead this project." Daniel's eyes widened. Mr. Okoro smiled. The executives began applauding. Daniel stood there, overwhelmed. The poor boy who once couldn't find a job was now standing in a room filled with people applauding his work. But then, just when Daniel thought the hardest part was over, the investor walked toward him. She extended her hand. "Congratulations." Daniel shook her hand. Then she leaned closer and quietly said, "But before we sign anything, there is something you need to know." Daniel's smile disappeared. "What is it?" She looked toward the door. "Someone on this team doesn't want you to lead this project." Daniel froze. "Who?" She didn't answer. Instead, she handed him a document. Daniel opened it. His eyes widened. Someone had already tried to sabotage his project, and the evidence was inside the file. Daniel looked at Mr. Okoro. "Sir," Mr. Okoro's expression had completely changed. "Don't open that file here." Daniel whispered. "Why?" Mr. Okoro looked around the room. Then he said, "Because the person who did this may still be in this building." Daniel's heart stopped. He slowly closed the file. He had spent his entire life fighting poverty. He had fought rejection. He had fought failure. He had fought fear. But now, his biggest battle wasn't poverty anymore. It was betrayal. And Daniel had no idea who he could trust. Sometimes, the greatest test doesn't come when you have nothing. It comes when you finally have something worth protecting. Daniel thought his biggest challenge was getting an opportunity. He was wrong. The real challenge was becoming strong enough to handle what came after the opportunity. That's life. You overcome one mountain and another mountain appears. You get the job, then you must prove yourself. You build the business, then you must protect it. You become successful, then you must learn who deserves access to your success. The goal isn't to build a life without problems. The goal is to become the kind of person who can face bigger problems without breaking. That is an unbreakable mentality. 1. Fear doesn't mean you're not ready. Sometimes fear simply means the opportunity matters. Move anyway. 2. Preparation creates confidence. Daniel didn't become confident because someone told him to believe in himself. He became confident because he prepared. 3. When plan A fails, don't stop. Daniel's presentation equipment failed. He didn't allow a technical problem to become a personal defeat. Find another way. 4. Success creates new battles. Never assume that reaching the next level means life becomes easy. It simply means you're ready for bigger challenges. That night, Daniel returned home with the biggest opportunity of his life. But he couldn't celebrate. He kept thinking about the document. Someone had tried to sabotage him. Someone inside the company wanted him to fail. And the question that kept running through his mind was, who can I trust? Daniel opened the document again. Then he saw a name. His face immediately changed because the name on that document was someone he never expected. And when Daniel finally discovers who betrayed him, he will have to make the most difficult decision of his entire journey. Will he fight back, walk away, or risk everything he has built? The poor boy who refused to quit. If you have ever been tested after finally getting your opportunity, comment, I will not break. Subscribe to Unbreakable Mentality because the final chapter is coming. Daniel thought winning the presentation was the hardest thing he had ever done. He was wrong. Because sometimes the moment you finally get what you prayed for is the moment life gives you one final test. And that morning, Daniel was about to discover that success was not only about getting an opportunity, it was about proving you deserve to keep it. Daniel stood outside the conference room, staring at the sealed document Mr. Okoro had handed him. His hands were shaking. Inside that file was evidence that someone had deliberately tried to sabotage his project. But Mr. Okoro's warning kept echoing in his head. Don't open it here. Daniel looked toward the busy office. Everyone seemed normal. People were walking. Phones were ringing. Employees were talking. Yet somewhere inside that building was someone who wanted him to fail. And Daniel had no idea who. Daniel walked into a quiet office and slowly opened the document. His eyes froze. There were copies of his project, private notes, financial projections, and several pages with changes he had never made. Someone had altered his work before the presentation. But then Daniel noticed something that made his heart stop. The person who accessed the files had used an internal company account. Someone inside the company had done it. Daniel whispered, "Who would do this?" Then he saw the name attached to the access record. His face changed. It was someone he had trusted. Someone who had encouraged him when he first arrived at the company. Someone who had even congratulated him after his successful presentation. Daniel couldn't believe it. He wanted to confront the person immediately. He wanted answers. He wanted revenge. But then he remembered something his mother had told him years ago. Daniel, never allow somebody else's bad character to destroy your own. He closed the file, and instead of reacting emotionally, he made a decision. Daniel returned to the conference room. The executives were waiting. The biggest client was sitting at the table. Mr. Okoro looked at him. "Daniel, are you ready?" Daniel took a deep breath. Yes, sir. But this time, Daniel wasn't just presenting a business project. He was presenting everything he had become. The poor boy who once had nothing. The young man who lost his job. The boy who studied when nobody believed in him. The man who kept learning when life told him to stop. This presentation was bigger than a job. It was proof that his circumstances had never been his identity. Daniel began. The first few minutes were perfect. Then suddenly, the client interrupted him. Mr. Daniel, there's a problem with your numbers. The room became silent. Daniel looked at the screen. One of the financial figures had been changed. Again, someone had tampered with the presentation. The old Daniel might have panicked. The old Daniel might have blamed someone. But this Daniel simply smiled. You're right. That figure is wrong. The executives looked surprised. Daniel continued, but I know exactly what the correct figure should be. He walked toward the board and began explaining the numbers from memory. One calculation, then another, then another. The room slowly changed. The client leaned forward. The executives began taking notes. Daniel wasn't fighting the sabotage anymore. He was proving that preparation had made him impossible to destroy. When Daniel finished, the room remained silent. Then the client stood up and began clapping. One person joined, then another. Within seconds, the entire room erupted in applause. Mr. Okoro smiled, but the client wasn't finished. She looked directly at Daniel. Mr. Daniel, someone tried very hard to make you fail today. Daniel remained silent. She continued, but whoever did it made one mistake. She paused. They underestimated how prepared you were. Daniel's eyes filled with emotion. Then she turned toward the executives. I want him to lead this project. The room exploded with applause again. But Daniel wasn't celebrating yet, because there was still one thing left to settle. After the meeting, Daniel walked into the hallway. The person responsible was standing there, waiting for him. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Finally, the person said, "You don't belong here." Daniel looked at him calmly. Maybe I didn't belong here before. He stepped closer, but I earned my place. The person looked away. Daniel could have humiliated him. He could have demanded that he be fired. Instead, Daniel said something nobody expected. I won't become like you just because you tried to become my enemy. Silence. Daniel walked away, but behind him, the man finally broke down because Daniel had defeated him without becoming him. That evening, Daniel returned home. His mother was sitting outside their modest home. She looked at him. One glance was enough. She knew something had changed. Daniel smiled. Mom, she stood up. What happened? Daniel took a deep breath. I got the job. His mother's eyes filled with tears. She hugged him tightly. But Daniel whispered, Mom, it's not just the job. She pulled away. Then what is it? Daniel smiled through his tears. I finally believe in myself. His mother placed her hand on his face and said that was the real victory. Months later, Daniel walked into the same library where he had once sat alone with an old laptop. But this time, he wasn't there because he had nowhere else to go. He was there because he had returned to give back. A young boy was sitting at the same table. His clothes were worn. His eyes looked tired. And beside him was an old, damaged laptop. Daniel stopped. He recognized that look. It was the same look he once carried. The boy looked up. Sir, do you think someone like me can ever become successful? Daniel smiled. He sat beside him and said, yes. The boy looked surprised. Daniel continued, but you have to make a decision before success ever finds you. The boy asked, "What decision?" Daniel looked him in the eyes. "That you will refuse to quit." Daniel walked out of the library, the same place where his transformation had begun. He looked back one last time and smiled. He had started with almost nothing. No money, no connections, no powerful family, no guarantee of success. But he had something more important. He had refused to surrender. And that changed everything. Because Daniel didn't become successful because life suddenly became easy. He became successful because every time life gave him a reason to quit, he found another reason to keep going. Sometimes you don't need a perfect beginning. Sometimes you don't need everyone to believe in you. Sometimes you simply need to keep moving until your life gives you a reason to believe in yourself. And Daniel's greatest victory wasn't the job. It wasn't the money. It wasn't the applause. It was becoming the man he once thought he could never become. Your background is not your destiny. Your rejection is not your identity. Your failure is not your final chapter. And your current situation does not have the authority to decide how your story ends. You may be struggling today. You may feel behind. You may have been rejected. You may have failed more times than you can count. But if there is still breath in you, there is still another chapter to write. So get back up, learn again, prepare again, try again. And when life tells you that you are finished, refuse to quit. Because sometimes the breakthrough is hiding behind the moment you almost gave up. If Daniel's story touched you, don't just watch it. Let it become your mindset. Comment below, "I refuse to quit." And remember, your story isn't over yet.